Hi, welcome back to Joel's DIY. Back again with another video. This time we're going to go ahead and start doing part 6 of my vinyl collection. And I believe that we left off on the G's. So today I'll be finishing up G's and going all the way up to K. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with the G's is a soundtrack of a movie that I 100% am a huge fan of. And that would be Dawn of the Dead. So what I have here is Zombi, which is the name title for the European version of Dawn of the Dead, by the Goblin or by Goblin. I think I think even in the film they call them the Goblins, but it's actually just Goblin. Great movie soundtrack. How do I explain the kind of? It's very, you could definitely tell that it was made in the 70s because you got the synthesizer going. And you got some guitar, and you got a lot of effects. But it's kind of a... if you ever seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's got like those weird noises with the synth, and then you got, you know, some pretty cool tracks, some kind of action-packed kind of type of music that Goblin plays for the film score. I mean, it's a great soundtrack. I mean, it definitely takes me back to, you know, 1978 in a mall where you're fighting for your life to try to kill a bunch of zombies, which is, you know, fun for me to watch over and over again. I've watched this movie over 100 times probably. So the soundtrack to Dawn of the Dead by Goblin starts me off. Next up is Grand Funk, the first album. So I started listening to Grand Funk because it's one of those bands that you always hear about. They're pretty much easy to identify with the 70s music. And since it's the first album that I heard, I love their music. This is their debut album, self-titled Grand Funk. Got some great songs here. Definitely enjoy Got This Thing on the Move, Highfalutin Woman, Paranoid, Inside Looking Out. So great songs here. Definitely enjoy this. Next up is another Grand Funk Railroad album. This is Closer to Home. This is kind of like their best album, I guess. Many people say. Got some great songs here. You got Nothing Is the Same, Get It Together, Hooked on Love, Sin's a Good Man's Brother, Aimless Lady. So great album by Grand Funk. Grand Funk Survival, another Grand Funk album that I have in my collection. Great album here. Give Me Shelter is a good cover of a Rolling Stones classic. Feeling Alright, All You've Got Is Money, Country Road. So good songs here. Next up is an album that I'll be honest, I haven't really listened to yet, and that would be Phoenix, also by Grand Funk. And here you got Flight of the Phoenix, Trying to Get Away, Someone, She Really Got to Move Me, Rain Keeps Falling, I Just Gotta Go Now. So I haven't listened to this album, but it's probably in their top 5, I would say, best albums that they ever made. So enjoyable album. Next up is Grand Funk, the live album. So I've listened to this. I have to say that I wasn't too impressed by their live album. You know, I don't know if some people think differently, but I mean, it's not their. I don't think it would be their best live album that is out there. There's probably another one, but this is the one that I more often than not find in record stores or in thrift stores. So Grand Funk live album, it's okay. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's their best live album. So next up is Nielsen Schmielsen by Harry Nielsen. Here you got, I think, the radio classic Without You, which is a cover by from Badfinger. So this is kind of like one of his better known songs. I haven't really listened to the whole thing. I've listened to pieces here and there, but I've heard that this is probably one of his better albums. So Nielsen Schmielsen by Harry Nielsen. Next up is a classic album, I would say, Heart, and that would be Dreamboat Annie. So you got a bunch of classics here: Magic Man, Dreamboat Annie, Crazy on You, I'll Be Your Song, Sing Child, How Deep It Goes. Okay, so pretty much a classic Heart album. I think this is the debut, but I'm not exactly sure. But here you go. Next up is Heart, Little Queen. So another classic album by Heart. Here you got Barracuda, which is kind of a classic. Little Queen, Pride in Me, Love Alive. So got a couple of good tracks here. Next up is an album I just got, so there, hence I haven't listened to it yet, but I've heard some mixed reviews on this one. It's Heart and its magazine. So I think this was the album that was released when Heart was on the way out of this record company. So it's not really an album that they meant to release, but it did get released, and I think the hit here was Heartless. Yeah, Heartless is the hit song from here. So I haven't listened to this yet, so I can't really give an honest opinion about it, but I probably will soon. Next up is Hard, a Dog, and a Butterfly. This album's okay. It wasn't, nothing that really caught my attention too much. I mean, it's got some decent tracks here. Minstrel Wind, Night on One, Cook with Fire, Straight On. So yeah, decent songs here. Next up is kind of a weird album cover here by Hall & Oates, but I did get this because it's kind of like one of their classic albums. I think this was the debut, and this was the album that was a little bit controversial. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but you can look that information up on the internet to see why it was so controversial. But you got Sarah Smile, kind of their classic song here. Nothing at All, It Doesn't Matter Anymore. So a lot of 70s soft rock hits here. Next up is one of my favorite live albums of all time. I mean, I used to listen to this every morning when I used to commute to my job a couple of years ago, and it kind of got my blood pumping all the time, and that would be Humble Pie performance at Rockin' the Fillmore. So yeah, this is definitely a classic album. I really enjoyed. It really knocks you on your feet. Listen to the 4-Day Creep, which is their opener. Stone Cold Fever, I Don't Need No Doctor, I Walk on Gilded Splinters. So yeah, it's a classic album. I mean, if you haven't listened to it, I definitely recommend this one. This is great. Next up is Humble Pie, Lost and Found. So I was kind of fortunate to find this album because it's got basically Town and Country and As Safe as Yesterday Is, which is two of their classic albums. I think it was the debut and also their second album, which is supposed to be like their best album, Town and Country. As Safe as Yesterday. So got some pretty classic songs here. Cold Lady, Heartbeat, Silver Tongue, Home and Away. And then As Safe as Yesterday Is, you got As Safe as Yesterday, I'll Go Alone, What You Will. So yeah, so it's just kind of like a good album to get because you're going to get both the first two albums that are considered kind of like their better albums. So good album to get. Humble Pie, Lost and Found. And then another Humble Pie album. This one's called Eat It. So I mean, it's not a bad album. I think this is the last album with Frampton in it. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it's got some stuff from their. It kind of came with a book here. I don't know if it's a poster. I think it's just a booklet. It's just got some art here. I don't know who did the art. Some other art here. The camera gets that. To be honest, I haven't really listened to this album too much. I mean, I didn't get it that long ago. It's supposed to have a couple of live performances here, so I haven't really had a chance to listen to it. But I probably should, definitely, But Humble Pie, Eat It. Okay, next up is Jay Giles Band, The Morning After. There's been a couple of times where I wanted to actually get rid of this album because I hadn't heard it and it was kind of just sitting there in my stack of records that I've been meaning to listen to, but I did put it on and I really did enjoy what I was listening, so I decided to keep it after all. Can't really tell you about the songs because I don't remember what songs I really liked, but I definitely like their sound, so I probably will give this album another chance and listen to it a little bit more. But yeah, the Jay Giles Band, The Morning After. Next up is a little R&B here. This is the Jackson 5 greatest hits, so it's got all their classic hits from the 70s. I Want You Back, ABC, Never Can Say Goodbye, a classic song, pop song. I'll Be There, Who's Loving You, The Love You Save. So good classic songs from the Jackson 5. Definitely an album to get. Next up is the album that I've heard a lot about this band, and I've been meaning to listen to their music. Haven't quite got into their music. I probably need to give their album a chance to kind of listen to. This is supposed to be kind of like I guess a greatest hits compilation, and this is The Jam Snap. So it's a double album. It's got all their hits or their better songs, and I have not had a chance to listen to it. I know that I don't know if it's kind of punkish or new wave-ish. I know they're kind of an influential band in England, but I'm not too aware of their music. So gotta listen to this. But I might give you a review, maybe not. I don't know if I ever get a chance to listen to it. But yeah, The Jam. Next up is kind of a classic album, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of this artist, but I definitely like this album, and that's James Taylor, Fire and Rain. So it's kind of another classic album. It's actually pretty easy to find this album in the Goodwill. I always find it all the time, but I picked up this copy and I really like it. It's a very chill kind of album, folksy. Sweet Baby James, Sunny Skies, Fire and Rain. That's kind of a classic. So yeah, kind of a classic album. Like to put this on once in a while because it's just very relaxing and chill. So really enjoyed listening to that. Next up is one of those great 70s albums by a 60s band member, I guess doing his solo work, and that's Jeff Beck, Truth. Love this album. It's got a couple of songs from the Yardbirds from when he I guess he did a cover with his band, the Jeff Beck Group. Shapes of Things is on here. And also, I think this is the first time you get Beck's Bolero, which is definitely a very cool jam on guitar by Jeff Beck. I Ain't Superstitious is kind of like the big hit from this album. You got Rod Stewart doing vocals here, so this is a great album. Anytime you got Rod Stewart and really kind of like a harder rock kind of sound, it's always a good album to listen to, so definitely love that. Next up is Beckola. So definitely enjoyed listening to this. Got a couple of covers here, Jailhouse Rock, but it's All Shook Up. So there's another Elvis album song. Spanish Roots, Plinth, Rice Pudding. So decent album by Jeff Beck Group. Here's an album that I've been meaning to listen to, but I just haven't not had a chance to listen to it from beginning to end, and that's Jeff Beck Wired. I heard a lot of good things about this album, but I really couldn't tell you about the songs because I just have not listened to it completely, but I heard it's one of his classics. Other album I have is Jeff Beck Blow by Blow. Not listened to this either. I probably should because it's definitely one of his iconic classic albums. It's been funny. It's funny with this album because the first time I ever saw it, I was excited because I thought, I was probably gonna get this for pretty cheap, and next thing you know, I pull the album out. It's not even the right album in here, so I didn't end up taking it, but I did end up eventually finding it, so I was happy to find it. My last Jeff Beck album that I have is with Jan Hammer Group, with the Jan Hammer Group. Listen to this, it's kind of like a bluesy type of deal, but I couldn't really tell you the songs because I wasn't really paying attention. It just kind of sounded like a jam, which is kind of cool, I guess, but I probably should take more time to listen to it, appreciate it a little bit more. Next up is a band from the 60s transitioning over to the 70s, and that is Jefferson Air Starship. So they used to be Jefferson Airplane, and they reformed as Jefferson Starship. They definitely changed their style a little bit. This is definitely a more 70s sounding album. Uh, Believe, Miracles is the big hit from this album. This album's okay. It's enjoyable. Jefferson and Starship is enjoyable, even when they get a little bit experimental. And I did enjoy this album, and it's supposed to be one of their better albums. Next up is Jethro Tull, Songs from the Wood. I'll be honest with you, I picked up all the Jethro Tull albums that I have on a whim, because I've been meaning to listen to their music. It's just that I haven't given them a chance. Probably should, because I heard that they're a great band, especially in the 70s. So yeah, haven't had a chance to listen to Songs from the Wood. Did not get a chance to listen to Minstrel in the Gallery. But I heard this is also a very good album from them. But I have had a chance to listen to Aqualung, because it's supposed to be one of their better albums, or their best albums. So yeah, the title track is great. Definitely enjoy Aqualung, Mother Goose, Up to Me, Slipstream, Wind Up. So yeah, great music here. Jethro Tull, Aqualung. Haven't had a chance to listen to this, but this is like another one of their better albums. Some people put this at their number one. Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. Haven't had a chance to listen to this, but definitely happy that I have it, because I probably will eventually get a chance to do that. Next up is Jim Croce, Life and Time. So heard a lot about this musician, and I've heard a few of his songs, but I definitely like the style, and I would love to get more into him. I just haven't had a chance to listen to this album, but it's a kind of a good way to start by getting his greatest hits album. Some of the songs I know, obviously, Bad Leroy Brown. There's a couple of other ones that I've heard. I just don't remember the name of them, but definitely happy that I have this album, because at some point I'll get to him and I'll be able to appreciate his music. Next up is a couple of albums by the same artist. Here I got Johnny Winter, the debut album. So Johnny Winter was a blues musician, a guitarist. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with him, but probably a newer generation isn't. But great blues music. Haven't listened to this in a long time, and I think I've only listened to it maybe once or twice, so can't really tell you the songs that I enjoyed from this. But I have had more time to listen to Second Winter. This is the other album, Johnny Winter. I really enjoyed this album. This is one of those albums that I was never able to buy when I found them at a Goodwill, because it was always missing one of the records. This is a double album. Got some covers here. Johnny Be Good, Highway 61 Revisited. But you definitely can enjoy I'm Not Sure, The Good Love, Huddled Down in Texas, I Hate Everybody, Fast Life Rider. So definitely one of his classic albums by Johnny Winter. Next up is Johnny Winter, Still Alive and Well. So I bought this not long ago, and I just have not had a chance to listen to it. But can't wait to listen. This is one of my few albums that it's supposed to be quadraphonic, which means that you're able to listen to this album with quadraphonic turntable with quadraphonic receiver and 4 speakers. I've never owned that setup, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if there's a difference. But this sounds fine. I mean, I just haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing, but Johnny Winter's Still Alive and Well. Johnny Winter, Saints and Sinners. I guess this is one of his later albums. I haven't had a chance to listen to it because I think I got it with the other one, so I will be able to do that soon. I do like the album cover. It's kind of cool looking. Next up is a classic album that I'm not a huge fan of this artist, kind of like in the same light as James Taylor, but I heard this is one of her better albums, so I picked it up, and I yet to listen to it, but Joni Mitchell, Blue. Don't know any of the songs here. I've known of Joni Mitchell, so but can't really say that I have anything to say about this album because I haven't listened to it yet. And next up is Journey. So this is before Steve Perry joined the band, and it's kind of rated as one of their better albums before Steve Perry. So I haven't had a chance to listen to this, but would like to listen to it because I know they played a lot of good guitar in their earlier albums. Next up is a couple of albums by the same band that, again, I have not had a chance to listen to. But you know, they are pretty highly recommended on the internet by other channels. So I got the albums and I just haven't had a chance to listen to them. So Kansas. So this is kind of like a prog type of band from the 70s, and they're pretty much well known for their song "Dust in the Wind." And I got the self-titled album. I got Mask, which I haven't had a chance to listen to. I got Left Overture. So this is supposed to be like one of their best albums. I got the album that has Dust in the Wind. This is Point of No Return. So I look forward to listen to them. I just haven't had a chance to because, you know, time. Next up is the best of Casey and the Sunshine Band. So I definitely know their music. It's, you know, definitely pop. Get Down Tonight, Ain't Nothing Wrong, Shake, 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 Do It Good. So yeah, greatest hits. Next up is the only album that I own so far from this band, but I've been meaning to get into their music too. This is King Crimson, Starless, and Bible Black. Haven't listened to this yet, but I'm also looking forward to get their popular album. I forget the name of it, but anyways, King Crimson, Starless, and Black Bible. Next up is Kiss Destroyer. Definitely one of the classic Kiss albums. This is, I guess, probably one of their more pop albums, and you know, Detroit Rock City is probably one of my favorite songs from this one. Beth, definitely a good song. Shout It Out Loud. Do You Love Me? God of Thunder. So a lot of classic Kiss songs here. And this will be the last album from that set, and that is Kiss Alive. Classic live album. It's got all their. A lot of people say that the versions of the songs that they wrote that were performed in this album are basically the definitive versions, and I would agree because, you know, you listen to this album and it's very iconic. You know, you listen to their songs and you probably listen to the live version versus the studio version more often than not. So it's got all the classics here: Deuce, Strutter, Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, Firehouse, Nothing to Lose, Parasite, She, Black Diamond, Rock Bottom, Cold Gin, Rock and Roll All Night, Let Me Go, Rock and Roll. So classic Kiss album, Kiss Alive. So that is it for this stack of my 70s albums. Thank you for joining me today, and I am sorry if I don't know all the songs or all the music. There's a lot of music out there that I wasn't exposed to at an early age, but I'm finding out about it now, and within time I'll probably get more into it. So if I screwed up any of the names or anything like that, I apologize foremost. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.